Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Adrian Ryan, and I'm a Project Support Officer for Union Learn. Please don't adjust your sets. It has got a TUC logo on the screen that you'll see, but this is a PCS webinar, and we are actually today going to be looking at a new PCS platform. So my name's Adrian Ryan. I'm a Project Support Officer for Union Learn, and I'll be handling the technical side of it. Sometimes we do have issues with the webinar, and sometimes the technical side does come out. What we'll actually try and do today is, if there's any issues at all, I will try and resolve them as we go. Just a little bit of housekeeping for you. Down the right-hand side, it's on my screen, the right-hand side, I've got a list on yours, is a chat function. What you can do, you can introduce yourselves in there if you wish to. And if you want to introduce yourselves and just say which department or which area you're working in, you can do that. Please feel free to do that. If you look down the bottom, you'll see a number of little headings. The one that we're going to be using today is ask a question. So if you want to ask a question at any point, please just put it in that box, click ask a question, and we'll try and cover the question as we go. Otherwise, please use the chat say to introduce yourself. So first of all, what I'm going to do, I'm going to hand over to my colleague from Union Learn, Matt Poynton, and he's just going to give us a little bit of information about what today's webinar is about. So enjoy the webinar.
Okay, yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Adrian. Good afternoon, Claire. Good afternoon, Mark.
Good afternoon.
And yeah, my name's Matt Poynton. I'm a projects officer with Union Learn, and we're having a webinar today because I've been talking to some of my colleagues at PCS, and they've been on about certain new developments. Foremost amongst them is something called Litmos. Now, I've heard the name before, don't really know anything about it. If we're on about, so I thought, well, I want to find out about it, and whilst I find out, let's not let everybody else find out as well, because it's probably going to be of use to some people. So, Mark, do you want to introduce yourself and carry on?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm Mark Robinson. I'm the Regional Learning Organiser for PCS in the Midlands. Just a note, for those of you who are watching us now and look like we're sitting right next to each other, we're not. We're using a very posh webcam designed for conferences, so we're actually observing social distance, believe it or not. It just has compressed us, looking like we're actually sitting next to each other, but we're not. Basically what we're going to talk about this afternoon is Litmos platform, how to get on it, how to actually access it, what's there, what might be in it for you. And as Adrian said, there's a questions bar at the bottom. It says ask a question. If something's not clear, or if you want a bit more information, please just type in, ask a question. We'll pick it up. Adrian will pick it up, and we'll definitely do our best to answer it as we go through. I'm just going to introduce at this point my colleague, Claire, from the Northern region. So, Claire, if you'd just like to say a couple of words.
Hello, thanks for that, Matt. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, my name's Claire Hownham, and I'm the PCS Regional Learning Organiser, and I'm based in the Newcastle Regional Office and cover the northern area. I've done a little bit on Litmos, but I am excited as the rest of you to find out all about it and how we can use Litmos to develop ourselves. And I keep getting distracted by everybody's chat going in on the right-hand side. It's lovely to see everybody in there and to find out where everybody's from. And if you wouldn't mind putting on what area you're from and maybe it's department that you work in, then we'll know who we're chatting to. Thanks.
Okay, so yeah, nice to see you again, Claire, albeit digitally. I can't wait to the time when we can get back into workplaces again and we can be meeting face to face. Now, but for now, we're being digital, right? So, Litmos. Now, You've mentioned this several times. Other colleagues in PCS and at Union Learn have. I did hear it a few years ago, but then people were going on about Litmos Heroes. Is that the same thing, or is that something different?
It's the same thing, Matt. You see, what Litmos Heroes was, originally it was called Learning Heroes. It was a company that set up, UK company, set up to provide this kind of sort of light-hearted approach to learning, but it's really deep, detailed stuff. They were actually bought up by SAP Litmos, so it became Litmos as far as we're concerned. So the heroes still appear. You'll see occasionally in some of the little programs, you'll see odd characters with a cape. but just ignore them. I mean, they're just part and parcel of the show. But basically, it's a really serious learning platform with a lot of content that you won't find anywhere else. And the beauty of it is that because we've got you to rely on as well, we can actually run live sessions through the program itself. So if you were doing some of the workplace learning that you've done in the past, such as your mindful workshop, or indeed, like we've done laughter yoga, we can actually run that online through this platform, as well as the learning content, which we'll talk about in a minute.
All right. Well, I mean, that's quite interesting for me because since this lockdown started, I've been really concentrating my efforts on having a look at what's out there digitally, and particularly with Adrian, of course, who's hosting us today, what free platforms are out there. And we've done a number of videos promoting different learning platforms, but this is not one we've looked at. So my guess is it's not free, is it?
It is free.
It's free.
It's free
for everybody.
For everybody. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, it's free.
So I don't know how we missed that.
Yeah. Well, basically what we've done is we've used Union Learning Fund money to buy this platform, so that in actual fact, this is open to PCS members and also to non-members, because we're using government funds to do this.
So what you're saying, it's actually normally not free, but the unions provided this opportunity.
Correct.
Right, that's probably why we haven't looked at it before.
Correct.
So, and is this something PCS has been doing for a while, or is this a new initiative?
This is new. I've personally been working on this since, researching it since sort of March time, April time, and then we actually got the program in May, and I've been working on putting this all together since then. So if anything's wrong with it, it's probably down to me.
Okay, right. Okay, so I mean, it's something you can go on, you can do for free. It's online learning, and what I may do when we're having a chat is I may ask if it's similar to some of the other platforms that I've tried, because some people may have tried those and be familiar with them, like Ranks or Future Learn, Open Learn, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, what is it?
Okay, well, basically what it is, I will in a bit share the screen. What it is, it's a learning platform that's got, it says over 900 courses available. Some of those are US specific or German language courses. And I don't mean learning German, they're actually in the German language. Some health and safety modules are in that. But there's certainly well over 800 courses that range a huge range of stuff, right from simple, what they call 60-second skills, where you can quickly learn a little bit of time management or a little bit of how to focus yourself on something for the moment to get away from a bit of stress, right through to detailed how to do guides for Microsoft Excel, all the versions of Excel, and they do basic, intermediate, and advanced for most versions of it. So there's something there for everyone. And it's not just Excel, they've got PowerPoint, Publisher, Word, Outlook, and usefully, we've got OneNote. I know one of the ULRs who's actually signed in today has actually used, in fact, I see it on the screen now, she's just put there, I have just completed a OneNote course and it's really useful. You know, I haven't done that, and actually I'm going to find that quite useful. So for all of us, there is something here. And there is one thing, without going on too much, but there's one thing here that we don't have pretty much anywhere, and that is a fairly detailed number of courses on management and leadership skills. So for those members and those learners who are thinking, well, I'm a manager, there's nothing in this for me, actually, for the first time, there's a whole lot here for you, you know, because we've actually got stuff that will support you. And particularly now, dealing with the pandemic and returning to work, to, you know, the normal way of work, or indeed managing people at home, that's all in there. We've got learning paths on that, which we'll talk about again later.
Right. Okay. I mean, that's quite interesting, because many moons ago, when I was doing a different job, I wanted to actually get into management, and finding a management course to do where you were not already in a management position was really hard. So from what I'm guessing, from what you're saying, if not only are you a manager and you want further training, and of course there's a lot of managers who've never done a management course, so there'd be a great opportunity for them. But also, if you're somebody who wants to get into it and you want to go for an interview and show that you've been proactive, this could be a route to go down.
Yes, Matt, exactly.
Right.
Because it's got both sides of it. It's got how to do it, and it's got the kind of things. If you're an employee and you're not going to be a manager, there's actually stuff there that says what your manager should be doing. So if you were thinking, well, actually, I could probably do that because I've looked at it, it may actually offer you an opportunity to further down the road. But certainly for anyone who's new to management, or indeed wants to actually broaden their skill set, it's all here.
Okay, share with me. Come on, I want to have a look.
Claire, would you like to tell people, what I will do is I'll put my screen on in a second, where we actually go. So for someone who's been sent, say, a link by a ULR of how to actually get in, I'm going to share my screen in a second. And what I'm going to share is the PCS website learning screen, so you can see that. If you can run through that for me, thanks.
Yeah, certainly.
It's not that one. It's not that one. It is that one. Okay, Claire.
Okay, so this is a section on the PCS website under news items at the moment. There's a couple of various ways that you can get into the PCS website, but the main one is under the top. Could you see along the top where we've got a link for equality? Yep, so we would click on the equality section and we are part of the learning and the equality, and it would take you straight into the learning platform. And we've titled it at the moment under the news and events category because it's brand new, as Mark and Matt said. Once we go through the Litmos learning platform, there'll be a link down the bottom. If you could scroll down there for me, please, Mark. Then you can see it highlighted in the blue, and that's where you would click the first time that you want to register on the Litmos platform. So are we able to click on that, Mark?
We can click on that. What it will do
is bring up, yeah.
It will take us to that.
All right. So that's not a huge form, is it, that, really?
No.
Well, that's quite good.
There's just a couple of basic questions that we ask you to complete so that we can get you registered with Litmos. The main thing is the code at the bottom. So at the moment, the article that you would have read to get you into that platform will tell you which code to use, and that's just so we can monitor how many people we are registering every month. It may change. At the moment, it's July 2020, but that may change as the months go on, but it will always be there for you to get in touch with and for you to register. Once we've completed that form, it's going to take you into the system a little bit more in depth, and it'll send you a link. That's right, isn't it, Mark? A link to your email address that you register with.
Yeah, what I'll do now is I'll now share the next screen that it will take you to, which is this one. So once you've got your email back, it'll take you to this. Now, this is mine, so obviously nobody else's details are on there. So what you would do is you get this particular form to fill in. And this, for those of you who are learning reps, or those of you who've been to a PCS event, it's not that dissimilar to this, to be perfectly honest. There are very few mandatory fields. If you don't fill in a field, you will see it says required field. It's got an asterisk. If you don't fill in a field, it will literally go back and say you need to fill this in. And basically, it's the same straightforward things. You will be asked to create a password. It tells you what the categories for the password are. You can again click show password, make sure you've got it right the second time. It asks you for various different things, address and phone number and stuff like that. And basically it asks you your date of birth. And ultimately what you'll do is on the right hand side, you'll see this bit here that says additional information. And it's important that we read this to you. I mean, just basically, before providing the following information, please note you can only access these courses if you consent to PCS processing your data. We think that's fair because ultimately we've spent a lot of money on this for people to do it. And if we couldn't process it, we'd be spending the money, and effectively we wouldn't be doing our job as far as the auditors were concerned. We need to be seen to be doing that. There is a privacy policy, as you've seen here. I'm just highlighting that. But on the right-hand side is our GDPR statement, and you will need to click on this I agree to terms and conditions and continue. Now, you will see that terms and conditions is actually highlighted when you go onto it. When you click on that, actually it just repeats this text. So all you need to do is click on that, and click continue. If you're happy to do that, it will then take you into the site. Okay. And at that point, because you will be registered, you will then be in as a learner. So what that will do then is will take you into, and I need to go into a different screen at this point. So bear with me.
While you're bringing up that screen, just to highlight that those sections and the terms and conditions that Mark was referring to, those are really important, and obviously it won't let you go past if you don't complete them, but that will help massively with the funding that we draw down, that we use in order to buy the platform and the licenses in the first place. So although it might be a little bit, a few extra boxes to complete, it is massively important to help with the fund and to allow us to give you this opportunity in learning.
I mean, to be fair, Claire, if you do any course at a college, you're expected to fill in a couple of sheets of A4 anyway. It's the norm these days, rightly or wrongly. That's how it is. So, are we in, Mark?
We're in. This is what you. This is my home screen as a learner. So all learners will see this screen. So whether you are a ULR, whether you are a learner, whether you are a member of PCS staff, if you go onto this as a learner, this is what you will see. And this you can knock this off so it doesn't come up every time. It just basically tells you a little bit about your home page and what it does. You'll see it mentions badges, access certificates, etc. And it mentions upcoming live training sessions and more. I'll explain that in a second. But basically, what this is will be your learner homepage. So you can click on this, continue to my dashboard. And on the dashboard, what you'll see here, this is the learner page, as I say. I'll talk to ULRs who are out there, because I guess quite a few of you are ULRs, and we perhaps should have asked that at the start. I noticed one or two have put down I'm a ULR, so which is helpful. I will address the ULRs in a little while, because there's something else that we'll be giving you access to. But if you look at this as a learner homepage, what you've got here on the right-hand side is news, okay? And the first bit at the bottom, it just says welcome, and it tells you all about it. The fact, as we've said, that it's ULF funded, and we've got learning paths, which I'll explain shortly. And it talks about accessing support. So if you're an ordinary member or a non-member accessing this, you should know your learning rep. And if you don't, approach your branch. They will definitely point you in the direction of your learning rep. If for any reason you don't have one, please contact me. My details are available on the PCS website. Pretty straightforward. Mark R at pcs.org.uk, or indeed wherever you are in the country, you will have one for your area, a learning rep, a learning organizer for your area. So it also says above that in the news about we've assigned learning paths. I'll explain those in a second. But beneath this, you've then got a calendar. This calendar at the moment isn't populated. As you can see, it's completely blank. And that's because Matt's going on holiday and we haven't set anything up yet. But basically what we're going to do, and we're welcome, open to suggestions from all of you. If you think, yes, I would like a session on, I don't know, dealing with difficult people at work. Well, guess what? There's a course at that actually on this already there. But if you wanted something on assertiveness, although there is one here, Matt does an assertiveness workshop that I've seen and he's absolutely brilliant. We're going to look at how possibly we can maybe deliver that online. We're having to look at delivering lots online. These will appear in here. And all you'll do is click on that date. So if you click on a day, there's nothing there for this one, but it would click on there and you can register your interest in a workshop or a course. That will then put you on a list. If we've set a number for that list, which we're unlikely to do for our online learning, then you'd be informed if you were on a waiting list. Pretty straightforward, to be honest. Now, there's a recent achievements thing here. This is what I've done. These are just mine. I've just done these, I've just put these up so people can see what they are. You as a learner will see what you have just done, okay? As you can see, it says achieved in the last month. I've spent most of my time putting this thing together. So I've done a little bit of playing around with a couple of courses on Facebook, just to have a look at that. You would see what you've done. Below that, there will be a little sort of leaderboard thing or badges, achievements that Jack Davis, who's our counterpart from down in the southwest region, who's actually taking part in this today behind the scenes like you guys, is going to be putting up little badges that you can get, so you'll be able to record your achievements on that.
So I've got a question here, Mark. I mean, I've been on a lot of different learning platforms online, and with a lot of the so-called free ones, you do the course, but if you want the certificate, so I'm thinking Future Learn, Coursera, Alison, you've got to pay for the certificate. Are these badges, do you get certificates, or are these badges in lieu of certificates?
Right. The badges are a separate thing. So you would get a badge if you complete a learning path. Okay.
And you mentioned these learning paths
right
a few times. So I want to know what those are later, but let's stick with the certificate.
Right. So certificates, Jack has actually worked on a certificate and has produced that. Now, at the moment, we haven't assigned the certificate to any courses yet, because obviously with 900 courses, approximately 800 courses, to physically go in and do them all, rather than actually get this set up and get it running so people can use it while they're locked down. Yeah. It's about priorities, Matt. We just try to get that right. But
so there will be a way that you can evidence to your line manager that you've done, because it might be, say I've got I don't know what you would call them. Every organisation has different names, like a PMR or something like that.
Yeah.
Then I could sit there and, my boss has said, okay, you need to improve your Excel. Well, actually, I've gone and done these courses. Here's the evidence.
Yes.
Is there a way of doing that?
Yes, there will be.
There's
two ways of doing it. One, you'll be able to screenshot the end of your course at the moment. Mm-hmm. Two, if you wanted the certificate for a course, if you let us know that, it is not going to be so difficult for us to actually put one course up. Say, Mark Robinson from the Midlands has said he would like a certificate for doing Excel 2016 Basic.
Brilliant.
And so we'll have a word with Jack. Jack will then assign that certificate to that course, so it's there.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So,
okay, excellent.
Okay. Right then. So, Claire, what I'm going to do at this point in time, I'm going to come out of this screen share and I'm going to ask you to talk about a course that you've done. Now, before I go into the details of all the content, look at the course that you've done and where you are on it, so that we can actually then progress through that little piece, so we can show people this is partway through a course, so to speak.
Yeah, are you going to share that screen up there for us, Mark?
Just about to do it now.
Brilliant.
So what course have you done, Claire?
Well, because like all of us, we've been doing a lot of things online, everything online, buying, spending, learning, working. What I decided to do was an introduction to ransomware. I just thought that was really appropriate for going forward to protect all of the different platforms that I'm going to be accessing.
Ransomware is like the stuff that gets the bugs, isn't it?
Yeah, so what it does is it looks at your information, looks at your security, your cyber security, really just how to protect yourself and how to protect your data online. So that's the one that I chose.
I spelled it wrongly.
That's quite interesting, Claire, in the respect that I've got kids and they do a lot of stuff about cyber security at school.
Yeah.
And schools are really hot on with it these days. So are you suggesting this could be quite a useful thing, not only for your own personal learning, but for keeping your kids safe online?
Definitely. I would recommend it to everybody, old and young and everybody in between, if I'm honest. Even if people are just starting to get onto online, some people are worried about doing their banking, etc. Online, but this is a really good tool to maybe put something in place before you take that step. Not only are we doing it on our sort of websites and tablets, etc., our phones and electronic devices, and there's quite a few different installments of it as well. So I know Mark's mentioned the learning paths, and we'll go into that a little bit later, but this is just one very small section of the cybersecurity platform that we're going to be looking at. So I went through this one and it was around, it says there 10 minutes. I took a little bit longer on it. The reason being is it did have a lot of terminology in there that I wasn't quite sure on. I just was able to take my time on that and have a look through it. What you can do, and this one contains a lot of really short, catchy clips. So it's very, it's not a lot text heavy, and so it doesn't put people off with all of the information coming through in that format. Mark, how far on did you get with it? Have we got from the beginning, or are we quite close to the end on there?
I went to where you were, where we'd agreed we can go. There's a little video.
Have a look at the video.
Yeah.
No.
IT security. We've even quizzed you on it. So now let's get practical. Here's how you can prevent it happening to you. Don't open suspicious emails, and definitely never download or run anything from them. This is usually how they get you. Do your security updates. They are your friend. Make sure your software is all up to date. Back up your data.
So
I mean, this is stopping a bit, but I'm guessing that's because we're running this webinar for the same bandwidth.
Yeah.
You normally get that problem.
No.
So what we've got the option to do here, if you can see that blue progression bar along the bottom, on
Yeah.
there is a little play button, so you can play it and you can pause it at any point. You can also replay it. You can fast forward it, you can rewind it, you can just exit out of it completely and then come back to it at a later time. But you've got the option of just popping your headphones in as well, and you can select for the text to come up on the screen, so you don't have to be playing it to the whole house or the whole office, whatever the case may be. So it's really catchy, it's really visual. It doesn't feel a lot like you're typing or reading loads of sort of data on there. So it is my preferred way of learning, if I'm honest, and I found it really good. But if you want, we could go through a couple of screens on the end here. There's only, I think, 3 short questions, and we'll get right to the end of that one. Now, obviously, you'd all know what cryptobiology was if you'd done the question sessions beforehand. But what does it do? So, out of the 3 selections there, I think we'll go with the top one.
Well, I think it's probably the top one.
Probably the top one.
The bottom one's Jesus, but turns water into wine. Oh, there we are, yeah. So they don't seem to be that odd, these questions.
On this particular one, no. And if you've been listening and absorbing earlier on in the session, you will know the answers to this one. This is just to give people a little insight into what the screen looks like, and how the text comes up on the screen, what the buttons are, and how to press it. So, again, Mark, you must have been listening and got that one correct.
I didn't think it was a fig leaf. So.
And then this is the final one, and it's just so we can get right to the end, so you can see what it's like once you finish a course and what the completion looks like, and it awards sort of the badges, etc. So the next one, what is IT security? So I suggest we'll go with the bottom one. Yeah, and submit that one, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, this is a bit like some of the little quizzes you have in Future Learning Coursera. I recognize this format, and I quite like it because the quizzes themselves are not too challenging, but they just jog your memory and on the stuff that you've been looking at over the week.
Yeah, and what you'll find is it does ask you things that you've already seen. So
is this the end of the course, Claire? Here
it is.
So okay, so you could screenshot that and send it to Jack if you wanted the certificate. That's what you're saying.
No, what you do is you could screenshot that if you.
The 100%.
So you could do that. You can screenshot this 100% completed, job done, or you could have screenshotted the previous one.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a position where you think, I really want to get a certificate for this course I'm about to do, let us know. We've actually got the support@Litmos email address that has been sent out to all the ULRs, and we'll resend that at the end of this course anyway. This webinar, basically, we'll be sending out like a sort of a covering. This is what we've done to ULRs anyway. So if anyone out there needs any further information about how to access our email inbox, which is specific for Litmos queries, I think it's litmosqueries@pcs.org.uk. And basically, if you go into that, you send an email to that, Jack or I will pick that up, and you'll get a response fairly quickly. It's covered on a daily basis. So if you've got a problem or you indeed want a certificate, let us know, because that can be quickly uploaded. But purely the fact, as I say, trying to upload 900 certificates at this point is just one of those logistical nightmares that we put aside.
Okay, so I want to go back to Claire. Claire, you've done that course.
Yeah.
How did you find it?
I found it really interesting. Some of the stuff I knew a little bit about already, but some of the other stuff it was really, really interesting. And what I was able to do is go away and research a little bit more, maybe have a look and see what I already had on my computer, on my phone, on my laptop, and just be able to build on that a little bit more after the guidance that I've read through the course.
Yeah, and maybe that's something that ULRs can help with, because when they know that someone's done, say, a course on ransomware, they may be able to signpost to other stuff on a similar topic, further learning. But I mean, both of you have mentioned these learning paths. So what's that? Because that sounds a bit more than just a course.
Well, the learning path, I'll let Mark go into that a little bit more detail, because him and our colleague Jack are the technical wizards behind that side of it. But the ultimate title of the section that I done was cybersecurity, and then the introduction to ransomware was just a small element of that larger topic. And it's things that, if you're not really sure what it is that you're looking for, or you're not really sure once you've done that particular topic where to move to, then what Mark and Jack have done is they've put together some learning paths. So it's some routes that they think would fit well following on from a course that you've just done. So Mark,
in layman's terms, Claire, you saying that's a bit like a bundle of courses?
Yeah.
That are all they all kind of feed into each other a bit, and they're all about the same topic.
They do, yeah. So it's a bit of a helping hand to which platform to go to next and which area to study next. Yeah. Got you.
Yeah, but just as a note on the side, I can now see the Litmos queries at PCS.org.uk in the chat. So if anybody wants to make a note of that now, that is the email that's just been put up on the side there by Jack. So if you do have a problem, or you do want to contact us about the specifics of Litmos, that's the one to go on. Right, okay. So what I'm now going to do is just go back kind of to where we were, to the home screen that we were in. And this is, again, the learner home screen. So this is my home screen. Yours will look different because you'll do whatever you've done. You see it says here, Litmos Dojo, green belt, black belt. It also says 0%, and that's because I did this before we actually set the platform up. These are the training elements that you can do to actually learn how to use it. So if you're a ULR and we give you access to this, you can actually get onto this. We would give you access to that. At the moment, no one can get access to this because no one needs it. It's, to be honest, it's really, quite detailed. So as a learner, learning how to use this platform from the admin side is rather superfluous. But going back to what we've just been talking about, Matt and Claire have mentioned, and we talked about earlier on, about the learning paths. What you've got, if you look across here, you've got home, which is where we are, and then it's got content library. Now, the content library, we click on that, and there we can see these are some of the learning paths that I put together over the last couple of weeks. This ransomware is a course. You can see it says course in this bottom corner. The others are learning paths. So what I'm going to do is very quickly take a look into this one, first of all, working from home, be better organized. Now, by the way, if you're out there and you think, actually, I've seen this other course on Litmos in a couple of weeks' time, that would be really good added to this working from home, please let us know. It's really easy to add them to the learning path. But this is what's in this learning path. As it says, working from home has become the new normal for many of us. I hate that expression. And as employers move to more flexible ways of working, then more of us will find ourselves using part of our home as our workstation. Here are a few useful courses on how to stay organised and avoid working to the detriment of your health. So it's about efficiency, but it's also about looking after yourself too. So these are the courses that are in it. This is the learning path. You've got essential time management tools. You've got health and well-being, switching off from work. These are short modules, avoiding burning out, work-life balance. Manage your time by organising paperwork. Apologise for the Zs, the spelling. This is an American platform that we're using, and there are certain things that we just can't change about it. But hey ho, it's really good content. And one basic, and I know that, as I say, one of you actually did this OneNote course the other day and has been using it ever since. So, it does work. This is a very efficient tool. Basically, this learning path, if you complete these courses here, it's about an hour and 5 minutes to do all of them. Okay, I believe I might be wrong. I think this OneNote's a little bit longer than that. But cut a long story short, it's a really short way of actually being able to work from home better. Going back at the content library again, I've put in the recently viewed. If you want to look at what the learning paths are, if you click on this, at the moment, you'll see they're listed like this. In a few weeks' time, sometime in August, they're going to revamp this site centrally. So this will look slightly different to this. There'll be more icon-based. So instead of big spaces here, there'll be more icons across here. But these are ones that I've put together. It's a deal like the post-COVID scenario. Are we going to have to change our jobs? Are we going to have to look at, branding ourselves better? So in this one, what I've actually put is about LinkedIn, which I think Matt and Adrian have worked on.
Well, I've actually done a video for with one of your colleagues. That's a lady called Anne up in the Northwest, where we have a look round LinkedIn, and I think Adrian was on the same video as well. So I don't know. That's probably, I think that should be up on the TUC page now. So we'll link it in for you.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
But yeah.
So you see, for this personal branding stuff, you've got a little module on personal branding, a bit about interview communication, negotiation and influencing people, and presenting with power, because a lot of interviews these days will probably involve you doing some kind of presentation. So that's quite a useful thing. Stepping back out of that one, so just to have a look through them, again, you've got big ones on finance and budgeting, health and safety. Anybody out there interested in health and safety and what should be happening at their workplace? Now, this is a massive one, and I'm not expecting anyone to do the whole thing, but there might be someone who really is studying health and safety outside of work and would find these useful. And to put it in perspective, there are a lot of courses in this.
Okay.
Yeah, but at the top of it, actually, there is actually a level 2 food safety hygiene. You will get a level 2 certificate for that if you complete that course.
All right.
Okay, that course is available as a standalone course as well. Okay, so you can do it within the learning path or as a standalone course. But what I have done is I've put some health and safety for office workers. And this is quite useful. There's a few, but not so many. And it kind of says that you need to be aware of, the kind of things that managers need to be aware of if you are a manager, kind of thing to think about. Somebody says, oh, we've had an accident. This is stop it before it happens.
Okay, I've got a question here, Adrian.
You can call me Adrian if you like.
Adrian is around. But no, my question is this. So when we looked at the Allison platform, which is also, I think it's actually based in Ireland, but it's aimed at the American market, then a lot of the courses, say on health and safety and that, were dealing with US law rather than UK. Are all of those relevant to UK law?
Yes, they are, Matt. And I'll tell you that what I've done with it is there are some US courses in this, and there are some US courses, not in the health and safety module, I have to say. There are some US courses available in punctuation, which actually is the same as the UK, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But what I've not done is included any US courses that refer to US law anywhere. So you needn't, if you're looking at a regulation in here, it will be a UK regulation.
So in a way, my understanding is this, tell me if I'm wrong, these learning paths are quite useful because in a way you've already vetted it. So if I was to go trying to find a health safety course for myself, just by doing a general search, I might find one, but it might be about US law. Whereas if you go on the learning path, it's been vetted and it's going to be relevant to us in the UK.
Yes, exactly.
Brilliant.
Yeah, the whole point is this,
because that's the problem with Allison. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of the Allison stuff, it's great, but it's US law. It's totally irrelevant to how we do stuff in this country.
Yeah, there you go. Now, just an interesting point on that, because we talked about just a second ago. I've just gone past it. Punctuation, literacy, punctuation. That has got some US courses. They're the only ones on literacy, and that's where we're going to be hopefully getting Matt to write us some courses up that will presumably be delivered through the diary. What you'll see if you're a ULR, you'll see a thing that says ILT sessions. It stands for instructor-led training. And I'll touch on ULRs in just a second, but I'll come back to that. But just to show you one more thing, this is another short workshop, and this one is for managers, team leaders, etc. Managing a return to the workplace. Now, this has been done as part of the post-pandemic, or during the end of a pandemic, where we are now, getting people back into a workplace, making sure the workplace is safe. And these are some of the things, these are the things that are in this learning path. Inspirational leadership, managing mental health in your workplace, etc. You can see the list that's there, including workplace hygiene. Right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just step away from this screen sharing for a bit. Very quickly, because we are kind of running out of time. There are a few questions in there as well. But before we get the questions, I just want to say one thing, is that for those of you who are learning reps, what we're going to be doing, it's probably going to be me that's delivering them in the first instance, although I guess regionally then, once we've done one, the ULRs can deliver regionally. But we can do it again nationally. It just depends on what format we use. We might use Teams. We might, again, use Crowdcast. I'm not sure. But I'm going to be providing, or PCS is going to be providing, training for ULRs so that you will be able to use the administrative side of Litmos, so you'll be able to support your learners. So if you've got, your learner, Mark Robinson, who's doing an Excel course, and you can see that Mark stalled on this course 3 weeks ago and hasn't actually done anything with it for 3 weeks, you can then contact me and say, hey, is everything all right? And I say, well, yeah, I've been really busy, I haven't had a chance. And then you can see, do I need some support with it? It might be there's an IT problem that you haven't actually been able to fix. Generally speaking, this is pretty okay. There's been a few clunky things with it, but on the whole, we're learning with this as well, folks, because this is new to us. So for us, this is a learning path for us. First time I've ever had to sort of put together a learning platform, administer it. And believe me, I've still got hair left, which is surprising. But yeah, it's been hard. Adrian, do you want to go through some of the questions that we've got, see if we can actually address those?
Yeah, the questions that we've got are mainly are around the actual being able to access Crowdcast. And as I said earlier, sometimes we do have issues on Crowdcast. And you ideally using Google Chrome normally works, but even then it can be a bit slow. So this webinar should be recorded. So what we'll do, we'll make it available for people to be able to view it again in case they've missed anything. Jack and myself have both posted the Litmos queries on PCS, email address for you to contact. One of the questions, the one question that is there that I can see is, as a ULR, would we be able to see a summary of completed courses for members of our branch?
Yeah, well, hopefully you will. What we're going to do, again, this is something that we have to agree as a project team. And obviously, we have to make a decision about what access that you get, because for certain, you don't want to have too much stuff that is mind-blowing, because believe me, some of the levels of this just completely drive you mad. But realistically, yes, you should be able to produce a report that you can see that will show you who they are. The only issue you're going to have is that you're going to need to know who those learners are, because I'm not going to put people's details on the screen now for GDPR issues. But basically what you'll have is a list of names or a list of courses. So if, for argument's sake, you've got, I don't know, what we do with a learning event, we advertise a workshop. I know that one of the ULRs here, when he does his events in his workplace in Leicester, would say, you've got an IT learning session and someone will come and deliver that. And I can see him on the screen now. And basically, he would get people to come in there and we would then record those outcomes. He would be able to see who'd done that. So if you assigned people to a course or said, yes, all go on that course, you could search by that course. you could then weed out your members from that reporting list and go from there. And we should at some point, because it'll scroll it down to Midlands or Workplace. We've asked people to do that. The only thing is that in the custom fields on that first page where we talked about the clicking the GDPR box, beneath that were the things like date of birth or where you work. We haven't made it compulsory to say your exact workplace. So it may be difficult. You may find that you have to go into Midlands or North or wherever you might be, Southwest, and say, right, I recognise these people. These are people from my branch. You know, these are people, my members, and I can produce the report from that. Yes, you can, is basically the answer to that.
Okay.
Great. The next question, and I think I know where this question is coming from. Can these courses be credited to your normal at-work learning? Now, I think that possibly is one of two things for me, whether it's included in your 5 days a year you're due to get learning, or whether it's around your PMR, using some of these courses in your PMR. I mean, my experience when I was working in HMRC many years ago, almost feel like saying during the war, because it seems that long ago now, that I asked for a course, I never got it. They just didn't have the resources to do it. So if it's an IT course, it might be Litmos courses that people could do. Do you think then you could ask your manager for time off to do that course? That's the way I read the question. I don't know if you read it any different.
Yeah, Claire, do you want to speak on that? Because I'm doing a lot of talking.
Yeah, definitely. There will be local agreements in place, and there will be agreements in place between individual departments and groups. It's definitely an option that we would encourage you to explore. I can't say a definite yes across the board because there's that many different variations between the departments and the groups. But if you have any queries or you want any help in getting an answer to that in your department, then we can certainly field them out for you and assist with it. But in my experience, that would be something I would be definitely going to a line manager to ask if this is the case. It may even spur the line manager on to advertise it a bit more widely within the teams in order for the rest of them to do that. One other thing that I'd like to say, which we didn't touch on a little bit, and I know there's a few more questions to come up, but it's we don't need to be completing any paper or electronic forms every time somebody's completing it. So the ULRs that are on the session right now, and that's all done at the beginning when the registration has been done. So you don't need to be chasing any of your learners, any of the members, etc., to then complete additional forms because it's all done centrally from the Litmos platform.
Yeah, thanks, Claire. And I just noticed on the right-hand side of the chat, there's two comments posted. Yes, Herma, you're right. The 5 days learning is a minimum. So yeah, again, you know, this is one of those things. It's essentially a moving feast, or it should be. But you do get some places where it's like 5 days. And good point, Malcolm. No reason you can't put the branch name. I mean, at the end of the day, you're communicating with your members. We're not, effectively. We will be communicating, you know, through ULRs. So effectively, if you're a ULR, you'll be sending that out. Hopefully, if you're not a ULR will send it out. And if they ask you to put your branch name in there, well, yeah, it'll pop up as that because it doesn't say you work for so-and-so. It'll say other. I mean, effectively, that's going to be the issue. It'll say other. But I think we can type in a number of fields. The bottom line is, ideally, you identify your workplace in there, which is probably the simplest way of doing it. You could do it that way, but that's probably the simplest way because it'll tie it to the same thing. Adrian, have you noticed any other questions in the chat? I'm just scrolling through.
No, I haven't. I mean, I've seen the platform and I've been talking to Mark while he's been doing fantastic work along with Jack to get this ready for PCS members and ULRs to promote. And I think it's a testament to the hard work, how good this site is, and also the numbers of people that are finding and looking at it and finding the content that someone mentioned earlier on about the amount of content that is there. There is masses of content there, and you can go back and do as many as you want, and you can redo them. You know, if you've forgotten something. I mean, for me, if you're doing something like Excel, which you need to practice to be able to use, you can go back and do it again and again and again and again. If you forget, we've all got busy lives, so you might learn something and then forget it when you go to use it. So this is there for you to do that, and it's a really good website. I think, you know, if you have got queries, use the queries side of it, or speak to your regional learning organizer because they're the ones who will be able to help you. hopefully we'll be back in workplaces in the near future, and then be able to, promote it, and you'll be able to see some of the, taken through it physically by some of the RLOs as well. And also sessions that myself and Matt do. There's a possibility of putting some of them on here as well. Certainly the ones that aren't so interactive. But no, it's a fantastic site, Mark. I think it's a real move forward for PCS to have this available for them for all the members and potential members. I think is the best way to describe it.
We're really pleased with it, to be honest. I mean, so far, currently at the moment, I've just checked it now. We've got 530 people using it live now. We're just about to increase the capacity of that somewhat, because we're kind of over the top now. So we're about to increase the capacity of that, so it shouldn't be an issue. You shouldn't be any issues of accessing it whatsoever. And as you say, for now, this is brilliant. And obviously moving forward, because even when we're doing, learning in workplaces, we're still going to have this as a resource that's going to be there. It's always going to be available, certainly for this project year anyway. And let's face it, if we're doing it online, you haven't got to wear dark glasses to see these shirts, have you, for a start off? So,
yeah, it's true. You've offered the ranks stuff for a while, haven't you? And that you don't need a lockdown to offer. It's an additional thing, but during lockdown, it's really good because you can't do the workplace learning. So
And just to touch on that, Matt's mentioned ranks. For those of you who've looked at ranks, not looked at ranks. It's another good tool that we've got. It's available through the PCS website on the learning pages again. Ranks is more of like a revision tool. This will help you if you're preparing for something, or if you're doing sort of training in something. So it gives you, there's a module on maths, and there's some GDPR stuff and things like that. Very good for sort of like a drill. It works like, if any of you have used Duolingo, the language app, it works on spaced repetition. So you'll get asked the same question several times during a session, and that's quite useful. This, however, doesn't do that very much. This is a pure learning platform. This is something where you can get new knowledge imparted to you, and you can just, the world's your lobster. You can go pretty much anywhere with this. And really, seriously, if there is something on here that is not here, if there's something here that you're looking for and it's not here, let us know, because Matt here is very good at putting stuff together. We ourselves are starting to put things together. We've all done courses on delivering to people, so we're really happy to put something together for you that's bespoke. So if you've got a workplace learning event coming up that's online, and there's something that you want there, please give us a bit of time. A couple of days, we've got a learning event. It's not going to happen, but give us a few weeks, and we can certainly do something with it.
I think touching on that as well, Mark, on the PCS website, especially on the learning section of it, we've got a few areas that we've updated that. So we've got things like advice for homeschooling, although we're under the holidays now. There's a wellbeing section, all of the news and information updates are getting put on there as well. We've got a ranks revision tool, we've got skills check, there's contacts, there's discounts, there's links to our colleagues at Union Learn. So we'll probably put some other webinars on going forward, maybe it's around those particular subjects, but please get in touch and let us know if there's any specific subjects that you would like us to talk about a little bit more in depth. A couple of people in the chat had asked around how can they advertise Litmos to their branch. So Jack answered that, but in case anybody's missed it, either your regional learning organiser or the Litmos queries at pcs.org.uk. If you sort of send your query into there, we can produce something for you so that you can advertise that, whether it's on the Facebook page for your branch, whether it's via email, whether it's on your internal advertising pages, just whichever platform that you choose to use. And then obviously you can get the message out to your learners around Litmos and how to use it, and that it's available really.
Yeah, and just two things I'm going to pick up on in the chat. I noticed that Helen's actually put something in the chat about doing a management style course. Helen is not a manager, but she's actually a leader in the union. Talks about leadership course. So again, what Matt was saying, he's actually backed up by one of you out there who's actually not a manager, but he's doing, some leadership through the union, and has found that really useful. But also, I've noticed that Mampton had asked about the shirts. Robin.
If you like the shirts, you should see the laughter yoga guy we get in, because these are only a precursor. But no, on a serious level, if you do like the shirts, seriously, we do have an address. They are from the same place, and it's actually supporting a charity out in Ghana. They're traditional Ghanaian, and they're supporting a charity out there. So if anybody wants one or wants the details, get in touch with either myself or Mark. I mean, I'm sure you've got the details from Mark at least, and we can put you in touch with the lady who makes them.
And I think it's helping that keep water in the village.
In Ghana. So
right, I think as well. One of the things, if you do want to see the laughter yoga session, Robin Graham runs. That's actually the webinar. What day are we today? Tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock tomorrow. Yes.
You can register on the Union Learn website. If you haven't seen it already, some of it, I know Herma's seen it because she was involved in it. So if you haven't seen it, it's well worth looking at. And if I challenge you, if you don't come out of it at least with a smile on your face, then we'll have to look for something on Litmos that can bring a smile to your face, or put something on Litmos to bring a smile to your face, because it's an excellent session. Matt mentioned a lot of websites as well today, like Future Learn, Open Learn. And if you don't know about them, you can go to the Union Learn pages and there's a tab on the Union Learn at homepage, Getting Started Online. And myself and Matt have done a series of videos talking you through each of the platforms, which is why today this is a great format to show you. And we've done a very similar format to today, with Matt with various bright shirts on and me with my just Liverpool red on, should I say. So, but that's what we've done. So you can have a look at them. I haven't invested in a shirt yet, but I'm sure I'll be persuaded to at some point. But we'll wait for that
all
day.
For good cause, Adrian. All for good cause.
I think we haven't got any further questions, so or comments other than compliments on the shirts. I think one just popped up. Let me just scroll down and see what this one is. See who's the best person. We have got a couple of minutes left. We're due to finish at 3, so what I want to do is just have a few closing comments from. Oh right, yeah. As I say, that hopefully this webinar is being recorded. It normally automatically records. What we'll do, because it's used on TUC Education Crowdcast account, we'll get the video, and then hopefully we can get it somewhere on either the Union Learn or PCS. PCS got a YouTube channel, or Union Learn YouTube channel, or we can get a link on the PCS website. We'll work that through once we get the video, but it will be there. You'll be able to see it. In the meantime, any questions, fire them at your regional learning organisers, or email the inquiries, the Litmos inquiries. Claire, did you want to say anything to close?
Nothing in particular other than let us know on the feedback once you've done some courses, how it went, if there was anything that you spotted, if there was any problems. Please just keep us updated so that we can sort of amend anything that we need to going forward. And thank you all for joining us today.
Matt and Mark, have you got any closing comments you'd like before I draw us to a close?
Yeah, I mean, over this whole lockdown period, I've been really looking into online learning, and if it is something you're wary about, just dive in. If a course doesn't suit you, so what? Drop that one, start another one. You've lost nothing. It's not costing you anything, but just get involved. Find one that does it for you. How many is there? Like 900? There will be something in there. And also, I liked what you said about the distinction between Litmos and Rants. So Litmos is for learning, Rants is for revising, and I think that's quite a good way to remember it. And then, but yeah, just dive in. And if that course doesn't suit you, if it's boring, so what? Put it to one side, start another one, but just have a go. It's always worthwhile. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. And just a closing remarks from me would be, to echo what Matt said. I mean, there's a lot of courses here. There's no limit. You can do all 900 if you want. There's nothing, whatever is there, it's accessible to you. It doesn't cost you a bean. If you do more courses than anyone else, no one's going to send you a bill or say, oh, you're spending all this time doing this, whatever. You know, it's there for you. It's as simple as that. Encourage other people to take part in it. But what I would say, please, 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 look at the learning path, because it makes it very easy for you to get the kind of stuff that's relevant all in one place. It's a very, very quick way of actually accessing lots of relevant information without having to hunt for it through the library. And doing it that way, you'll also get a badge for it, which, you know, let's face it, puts you top of a little leaderboard then. But thank you all for being with us today. Thanks for your participation in this. And moving forwards, thanks in advance to the ULR for all the work you're going to be doing, and hopefully attending the training sessions we're going to run. Been brilliant. Thank you very much.
And I'll see you in the yoga webinar tomorrow at 2.
Yeah, don't forget the laughter yoga. Right. Thanks. My thanks to everyone. Thanks to Claire, Matt, and Mark for such a fantastic webinar, giving us loads of really good information in a clear and concise way. And most importantly, thanks to everyone for attending. Hopefully, there will be further webinars in the future. It's something that PCS is certainly looking at, and for me, I think it's been a really good session, and hopefully we can have some more in the future. Maybe not with me presenting, which would be someone else, but certainly I think it's been very, very useful. We will try and get the video links up there. You have got the email address. But thanks, everyone, and enjoy the end of what's left of your day. Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.